Definitely do not know much about you.
Oh, we are
Yeah,
live.
Brad is also here.
Here we
Yes,
are.
finally.
And Brad's
Hi.
here. Perfect. Just
Hello.
in time. We are just getting started. First off, hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. You've made it. This is the end of the course. All of you have done something with your pods that is going to be hopefully remembered forever. These are people that you might collaborate with in the future. They might be future co-authors. They might be people that you meet in industry or see around in your professional career. That's a really cool experience and a cool bond that you've formed. This presentation is all about celebrating all of the work, whether the hard times and the easy times and the funny times that you've all put in over the last 3 weeks, as well as all of the work that the volunteers who made this happen have put in over the last 6 months or several years for a lot of people. So for all of you, welcome. Please make some noise in the chat, introduce yourself. This is a party to celebrate what you've just gone through. This makes it sound horrible. It's supposed to be fun. So I have some people here on the screen with me. Maybe each of you can go through and kind of introduce yourselves, and we can jump into some slides. Starting with you, Brad, I guess.
Hey, everybody. My name is Brad Weibel. I'm a professor at Penn State University in the East Coast of the United States. And I am actually in a psychology department, but I do computational work there. So I try to understand how the visual system works. And I have been part of Neuromatch Academy since the day we started. And it has been really wonderful to watch it change over the various iterations and see all the new people coming in. So awesome to see Nick helping to take the reins this year. So it's been just absolutely awesome to see this whole community develop and thrive in this online space. Kirvani?
Awesome.
Thank you, Brad. So, hi everyone, I'm Kirvani Kandala and I'm a third year undergraduate from India. My major is in computational biology and I was an NMA CN student last year and today I volunteer with the communication team and also lead the art tests. It's really great working here and thanks so much everyone for having me.
We are so happy to have you. Amita?
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Amita Kapoor, and I was associate professor in University of Delhi, and I have taken retirement from there. And right now, I'm doing work as freelance AI consultant for various companies and startups. I have been associated with NMA since its starting, first as a TA, and then I really like this idea. Being in the education itself, I really like this idea of democratizing education and making it accessible to everyone. Right. And therefore, after 2020, I continued being part of NMA as volunteer. And right now, I'm trying to do whatever I can in my limited time and work with NMA. It has been a great experience, to be honest.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much. So, as we mentioned, this slide or this presentation is about celebrating NMA and the whole experience that it is. And this inherently means we are celebrating you. It's all of you that makes NMA possible. It's the reason that people like Brad, Amita, Kirvani, and myself do what we do, is making all of these experiences happen. So this is a shot of a bunch of different pods from around the world. There's over 106 pods shown here in this screen. And it's incredible, the kind of level of community that you can have through a Neuromatch. So please yell out in chat. What was your pod name? Who were you? Say hi to your podmates if they're here. We want to hear from you. But first, we're not just celebrating you and the time that you've had here at NMA. We're also celebrating your creativity. But I'll let Kirvani talk about this part a little bit.
Thank you, Nick. So at NMA, we've seen so many people submit so much of their work to the art contests and the pod arts and all, and we took a few of them and we wanted to show how creative the people of NMA are, apart from academics and the long arts of studies. We've also seen this amazing works. So, next slide, Nick. So here are a bunch of artworks and a couple of memes which all of you shared, and which is what we wanted to show here. So you can see there are AI generated models, there are your own creativity, and there is also freehand pencil and pen drawings, which you can see as we go further.
I really like this the brain and you art here. This one's it's really cute.
And there's that art on dancing neurons, the first one.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so I guess these are like really nice memes which all of you contributed to us, and we are extremely thankful to see your creativity and all of the hard work that you put in. Nick, do you want to maybe add?
Sorry, Kivani, I didn't hear you.
Oh, I was asking if you want to add anything to that.
Oh no, I think it's just incredible that there's so many people who are so multi-talented. I mean, you're all these computational experts at this point, and you're also artists and comedians, and as we'll see later in the presentation, musicians. So it's just, I think it's great to see everything that everybody can put together like this. So it's also, NMA is also made possible, of course, by the people who actually show up and teach in these pods, who lead these group discussions. And what we're showing on this slide are the lead TAs. These are the people responsible for not just their own pod, but helping to organize and answer questions for whole groups of pods. Brad, maybe you can talk a little bit more about this process.
Yeah, so we recruit TAs from around the world, people who have enough background to sort of understand the materials, and we give them a training program at the very beginning to sort of bring them up to speed on what the materials will be like and what they'll be expected to do. And it's a fairly rigorous screening program, and we're really lucky to have so many talented people from around the world who are willing to share their time to help make these pods happen.
Yeah, exactly. And it's often the case that Neuromatch graduates end up becoming Neuromatch TAs. So if you're interested in TAing, definitely keep following. So we'd love to have you in the future.
Yeah, I'll add one more thing, which is that you don't necessarily need to have complete mastery of all the materials in order to be a TA. The important thing is to have a sort of background and feel somewhat comfortable with the material. So, don't undercut your own ability to potentially be a TA, especially if you've already taken the course.
It's a lot about really being able to lead that group discussion. And our TAs go through a TA training process that we'll talk about later. That helps prepare them for that. So NMA is made up of many different people in many different roles. We call these departments, and they are led by our executive director of the year this year, Ella Batty, who did an amazing job, but it's too early for her to be here for this closing ceremony, but we'll see her at the other ones. But also so many different departments. And really, I want to highlight the volunteers behind all of these departments, because not only are they helping to lead that operation side of NMA, they're working with a ton of other people that are help making those activities happen. And we'll look at all of those through the next slides. So one of the first ones we're going to highlight is people operations. As you all may or may not know, Neuromatch is supported by almost 300 active volunteers every year. And they all come through people operations, who have helped make the systems to onboard all of them. On top of that, this team helps manage our accounts, including services like Discord and Zoom, getting all of you set up on all of them, making sure that all of the pods can work, and that the teaching lessons work, and that things can be shown and shared and accounts made. And so it's a lot of work to bring so many people in together. And Brad, maybe you want to talk about admissions here?
Yeah, absolutely. So from the beginning, we wanted Neuromatch to be something that as many people could participate in as possible. But at the same time, we want to make sure that everybody who joins the course can get the most out of it. So from the beginning, we've been developing, a rigorous application screening process that allows people to submit applications, and then we review all of those applications, thousands of applications. And we have to do it in a very short time frame because, as you know, the time between when the applications end and when we start rolling out pod selection is pretty short. So, one of the things that we've been working on is a way to sort of parallelize and get basically every single application screened and all of the decisions made as quickly as possible. And in that process, though, we also want to be flexible, right? So we want to allow for people who have different backgrounds to sort of understand what they've written in their application. Not to penalize people for sort of being from a particular culture or way of expressing themselves, right? So we want to make everything as accessible and inclusive as possible. So we had 4,100 applications this year, and this is our leaderboard. This is the application leaderboard that we use to encourage reviewers to review. It's sort of like a game to see who can review the most applications. And the names aren't here, unfortunately. I don't remember. Nick, do you remember who was number one this year?
Ooh, that is a good question. I do not remember the name off the top of my head.
I think I was the sort of green bar here, about like 8 or 9 from the top. Whereas in previous years, I was closer to the top. John Butler and I were competing for number one, but this year I was totally eclipsed by other people. So that's the application screening process. Going to move on. Next slide. Oh, tech, right?
Yeah. So Neuromatch, of course, is backed by a lot of different tech stacks that go on in the background, whether this be how we host sessions like this one or how Zoom is set up. There's people on our team who write scripts to automate all of this because there's so many people here involved in Neuromatch, we can't be doing it all by hand. And then on top of that, these people help maintain services, importantly, like our portal, our website, and all of the different technology that we use. So like all software development, there's ups and downs. It can feel great when you solve a problem in it, but it can also feel very scary when you encounter a bug in a really important time of need. And for us, that was on opening day when we opened applications. Our application portal went down, which was terrifying. But we had 2 key volunteers, Ala and Maria de Fatamin Diaz, who swooped in to save the day and make enrollment possible. So thank you very much for them making it happen, and also for Sam for all of his work throughout the year, getting the portal up to this point.
It's important to remember also that this is nobody's day job, right? Like we're rolling this out on volunteer hours, people who are doing this like in their off time, in the evenings, and the weekends. So, sometimes there are some rough edges, but, we're getting it all to work.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's amazing that we have so many functioning systems with so many different people contributing, but that's what makes Neuromatch what it is. So our instruction team is responsible for managing, many different things, but especially the TAs. So Brad talked a little bit about the TA process earlier. Do you want to talk about the TA leaderboard here and TA training a bit?
Yeah, definitely. So this year again, is like the TA training goes through a series of processes. The first step is obviously, applications are rolled out and some sort of a content testing is made for the TAs. And once we get the applications, they are reviewed. And again, as just like the student application, what you're seeing out here is the TA leaderboard, where again many TA reviewers who have been helping us out with the TA review in the past, and many add up in the like this year as well. So they work together to review the TA applications. It's again a rigorous process, a very competitive process, and after like going through that, the TAs are selected, then they are trained. The training also goes to about 2 days to 3 days. You can see out here, so that is there. We have separate training for lead TAs, and we have separate training for project TAs as well, and that is how we make it out happen. Thanks.
Thank you so much. What does this TA training look like? What do you all talk about in there?
Okay. Yeah, the TA training emphasize on the basic idea of neuromatch. The important thing is like it's not a normal classroom that we have. So in the TA training, the TAs are supposed to interact with the students. Definitely, they're supposed to make the whole, there are face between us and the students, so they have to make the things understandable. So we do not expect our TAs to learn everything, but we expect them to pass on the philosophy of the peer programming, the pass on the philosophy of, you know having the question mindset, understanding the things, questioning it out, and discussing with everyone else. So that is what we emphasize and how to go about it. Especially a lot of time is spent on understanding the tech behind it, and especially the concept of peer programming, which I hope everyone enjoys.
Thank you so much. And I think we had TAs from about 50 different countries this year, which shows just all the different places and backgrounds that they're coming from. And I think it's great that we can match those TAs from around the world to pods and time zones and languages around the world as well. And thank you for making that happen.
And there's also some other technical issues that crop up with having people from all around the world, because certain services are unavailable in certain parts of the country. So we have to figure out technical workarounds for a lot of those different obstacles.
Exactly. And one of the teams that helps us do this is our operations team. So Manisha can't join us on camera, but she is in the chat right now. The operations team is really who goes through and makes NMA tick. They manage, so we talked about people operations and onboarding all of these volunteers and setting up some of our key services. Operations is the other half of that, really. They help continue to manage all those volunteers and all of the people, the students, the TAs that come on, and they make the kind of chaos of managing all these people remotely possible. And one of the ways that they did that this year, or have improved doing that, is through these new standard operating procedures. I know it doesn't sound super exciting, but being able to make process and make NMA run is critical to its function. So we're so happy that we have Manisha leading the operations team and making this all possible. Kirvani, do you want to talk about the communications team?
Yes, thank you, Nick. So this is all the internal work that happens at Neuromatch, which we've known about till now, about operations, TA training, and everything. But to get all of that to the general public and to the world out there, that is what the communications team does, head by Alberto and Conrad. We work to make sure that you get all of your emails in time, all of the mass emailing, all of the social media accounts. Neuromatch is present on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and also TikTok, along with LinkedIn. So please do try to check us out there. And for this year, we have a new sections. We have a couple of new things. One of them is the volunteer spotlights. You might have seen a lot of posts recently on all of our social media. This is to highlight the amazing volunteers who done a super fantastic job by putting a post about them. So the communications team at Neuromatch is the face of what Neuromatch is, and we are very thankful for that. And we also have a new merch store wherein you can buy, or you can buy all of the Neuromatch t-shirts and all the student contest designs and all of that. And we will be getting it up and ready this year, and we'd love for all of you to check it out. Nick, maybe you want to add a bit about the merch designs for this year?
Yeah, so if you go and visit our merch stores, we didn't put a link on this slide because we forgot, but somebody will put it in chat. If you go and visit our merch stores, you'll be able to both see the winning student t-shirt contest designs from last year. Thank you, Elnaz, for making those possible, as well as the team involved in art contests last year, and the comms team for setting up those merch stores this year. And in the future, hopefully in the next few months, you will be able to both see the winning t-shirt design contest from this year, as well as some other kind of official Neuromatch merch, in case you want to connect with the community. Brad, I think this is you.
Professional development, is another key thing that we want to focus on. We want to give people a sort of broader sense of what both academia and also industry are like, so that when you graduate from the academy, you have some good sense of where you might go with this information and this knowledge that you've gained. So, one of the things that our Prof Dev team does is to try to first figure out what kinds of panels are going to be the most interesting and relevant for you, and then to line up speakers, thought leaders from around the world, people with a lot of experience, deep experience in industry, and also academia, to sort of tell you the nuts and bolts of what things are going to be like. So Brad Wojtek, as well as Marlene, were the two people who were highlighting that effort this year, and they're at the top of the slide here. And underneath that, you see a large list of people who were involved in this in various ways, from sort of scheduling all the way up to being on screen and doing everything. So yeah, we had 64 speakers in total for the Prof Dev session. And then another thing that we did this year, I don't know if there's a slide on this later, Nick, but Conrad also came up with this idea to run something called office hours, which is a much more informal version sort of Prof Dev, where he just talks about issues related to, day-to-day things that are going to come up in your job or getting a job. So not really panels and speakers, but just sort of Q&A, as if you were going to, a professor's office to ask them questions. So we ran, I think, 6 or 7 of those, all told throughout the course of the year. And you can find all of this information on YouTube, by the way. If you've missed any of these sessions, they're on Crowdcast. Almost all of them are also on our YouTube channel. So feel free to go back and watch them if you missed them.
Yeah, I really liked the office hours sessions. They were kind of a last minute thing that jumped in there, and I think they ended up really great. So yeah, as Brad said, organizing these Prof Dev sessions, it's harder than you'd think to get 64 speakers from kind of like experienced career individuals to show up around the world in different time zones, but this team made it happen. But of course, we have a team dedicated. This is actually a combined team. They're treated as 2 separate teams in Neuromatch, curriculum and production teams. But I think Brad can expand on both of them.
Yeah, so the sort of 2 key ingredients here are, first of all, deciding what should be on and getting the raw content. And that involves, first of all, curriculum team sort of figures out, well, I mean, there's so much information. We can't obviously squeeze the entirety of comp neuro or deep learning into just 3 weeks. But what we can do is figure out what topics are going to be the most important for you to learn to get both the fundamentals and also some of the applications under your belt. So the curriculum team basically sits down and figures out, okay, what do we want to put in here? Then we reach out to lecturers from around the world to try to get people to submit videos that will, like we said, we need content on this. You're an expert in this. Can you make us some content? And it's not, they don't get paid. Everybody's doing this voluntarily, and they submit their content. So we have these lectures, and we embed them then in the notebooks that you've been working with for the past 3 weeks, and that's when the production team comes in. And as you can see here, there's a really sophisticated pipeline. I already talked about the content creators, how they create the content. We then go through that content that they've made, and we do a copyright check. And what this means is that we are actually making sure that none of the figures that are included in the slides contain copywritten material. And the reason that this is important is that we are putting all of our materials for free on the internet for literally anybody to use. And in order to do that, we can't have materials that, like Elsevier or some other publishing companies, are going to be like, hey, that was an article, that was from an article that we published and we own that material. So we get rid of all the copyright problems by recreating content when necessary. And then we integrate all of this information into the notebooks, and the production team then has this really important job of going through and making sure that everything is smooth. And we call some of this process waxing, like you're waxing a surfboard to make it nice and polished. We want all of the videos to be smooth. We want the code examples to work well. We just want to make everything as smooth as possible. And so there's so many different layers that go on in the process of going from the raw materials that the creators create to the materials that you experience when you're sitting down and working with your pod. Hard to overstate how much work is involved there.
Yeah, it's an incredible process. So even, and this happens each year, even when just updating the content, right? Because it's not just about making new courses. We also keep everything up to date and we improve previous content. And so this year, the production team was hard at work on renovating basically multiple days of the course.
Yeah. So, for example, all those surveys that you take, right? They're really important because we look at those surveys and we're like, what days were most effective? What days were, did students find confusing or problematic? And we go through and we hit those problematic sections really hard for the next year. So definitely do those surveys. They're really helpful.
Yes, please. And new this year from this team, or at least from the curriculum team, were these summary sheets. I don't know if you guys have been receiving them or following John on Twitter, but these are great breakdowns of like the day-to-day modules in NMA. So it's not just all curriculum, right? There's also the group projects that you all work on. And these are a really fun time and fun way to collaborate and a way to do real research that maybe you can share in NeuroMatch conference later this year. But our projects team is responsible for making those projects happen, organizing the mentors associated with the projects, and really are there to gather interesting new data sets, create these project stubs and seeds that let you work from and do all of that work with your pods or your extended project pods. So thank you to our projects team. These are word clouds of some of the different project proposals, computational neuroscience projects here, and our deep learning projects here. So we can see which groups used which data sets here. Looks like the Allen Institute data set is winning out right now. So key to NeuroMatch's mission is diversity, equity, and inclusion. Part of the reason NeuroMatch is what it is because we have so many people from so many different places around the world who are coming together to work and learn and experience this together. And our goal is to give all of those people more equitable access to science. We want them to have a more equal voice in contributing to scientific discussion, be able to have access to more equal resources so they can continue to do science and contribute all the great ideas they have to everybody around the world. And this DAI team at NeuroMatch is responsible for holding up that ideal and making that mission possible. And in doing that, outreaching to everybody around the world to bring them in and tell them about this experience. So this team overlaps a lot with our communications team. They're there not just to make sure our communications are inclusive and better, making them more inclusive and more equitable and more accessible every year, but also to actually help drive a lot of that outreach and reach out to the communities who maybe don't always get access to resources like this one. So thank you very much to our DEI team for making that happen. The goal, of course, being to celebrate all the ways that people differ and actually leveraging that difference and using those differences and ideas and backgrounds to drive better discussions. And hopefully you got to experience some of this in your pods. Getting to see people who may be outside of your country or who spoke a different language or who came from a different method of teaching can all change the way that they contribute ideas to group work like that.
Yeah, so some of the other things that DEI has been working with, for example, is creating the payment system that sort of adapts the registration fee according to the area of the world that you're living in. So we want to try to make everything as inclusive as possible. We want to modulate the content so that it's possible for everyone to join up. So that's one of the things we do. They also work on the language side, figuring out like what languages do we also want to translate our materials into. And the production team does a lot of the work, but it's the DEI team that figures out how are we going to make this actually happen.
Yeah, exactly. And I think something this highlights is that there's so many different routes and pieces to accessibility and inclusion. And We're always looking to be better. You'll notice a survey at the bottom of your screens right now where you can click to give us feedback on how we can do better at being more equitable and more inclusive at NMA. So because of the work from the DEI team and the communications and outreach team, NeuroMatch had over 4,000 total applicants this year, accepting approximately 3,900 of them. And they were from 105 different countries, with 104 ultimately accepted. So over 2,000 of these students ended up in the computational neuroscience program, and over 1,500 were accepted into the deep learning program. So please, if you haven't done so already, yell out in chat, where are you from? It's awesome to see all the different backgrounds that come here into the NeuroMatch community. And of course, we teach pods in different languages, finding TAs that match the languages preference for students who are coming in. And this year we had more languages than ever, having pods in 12 different languages from all these different parts of the world. One thing that NeuroMatch really strives for is being able to appeal both to a variety of educational backgrounds. We hope our program can really serve people from several different backgrounds and make computational neuroscience and deep learning accessible to them, but also people of different genders and other life experiences. So this year we had 30% of our students as female, and you can see the wide variety of breakdown in career status. But that finishes up our coverage of all the departments and the background of all of our students. Let's see what you guys made happen this year. Kirvani?
Thank you, Nick. So that is all about NMA, and now we get to the most exciting part of today's closing ceremony, that is the NMA's Got Talent and the results and everything. So we've been working over the past a lot of time, past couple of months, to make sure that this could happen. And you might have seen a lot of announcements about the contest, the voting, and all of that. So we've had a couple of contest categories this year to make sure that NMA is not just projects and academics and all of that. We also wanted you to have a lot of fun and interact among each other and make sure you make friends and have the best time here. So we have 7 contest categories this year, which are music contest, t-shirt design, photography, comedy, designing a pod logo, meme making, and illustration and graphic design. So with that, next slide. So this idea was originally by an NMA volunteer, Elnar Salikrami, and it is possible with because of a lot of people like Megan, Brad, Kate, Kevin, Lion, Ella, Conrad, and Kason. And we are extremely thankful to all of them for making sure that this could happen and to make sure that all of you have a great time. So let's get into the most exciting part, the results. So first, we have a music contest results. Second place by Jonathan Whitaker, and his title is Stuff. Maybe we can listen to a small clipping of what Jonathan has done.
I really like this. Make sure to read the text here on this slide to see how this piece was created. Oh.
That is like a super amazing piece. And now we get to the first place, which was by Julius Amigadzi on his music title. This is Kachapuri. We can listen to a bit of that too.
Enjoy. We are on the move. Mhm. And we make every effort to make things happen. We've got Pepe and Carter to take care of, yeah. And we have to deal with the heat wave too. Oh. Maybe some.
So those are some amazing pieces of music we've had this year. These will be certainly on our social channels, which you guys can go and check it out. So with that, let's move to the next contest, which is the T-shirt design contest. And we've had so many entries this year, and so many people contributing really nicely. So second place in the T-shirt design contest goes to Muhammad Ali Tamawandi for his beautiful T-shirt designs. He sent over like 35 designs, and we had to choose. So a huge shout out to Muhammad, and you can see the winning designs over here. And the first place goes to Luis Me, whose title is Universal Design, which you can see here. And congratulations, you all, and we are very excited about about your submissions to us. Next slide. So, and the results for the third contest, the photography contest. So, second place goes to Piyusha Mitra, and her title is The Sparks Neural Firing, which you can see the first picture over here. And the first place goes to Sahana Murli for her title Connect. She said this is a picture of a marble taken at a really high resolution, and they absolutely look amazing. So, you can, like I said, you can always find these designs and photographs on our social media, and we are so glad for these submissions. Now, we've had so many comedy videos, and it was difficult for people to vote and then to choose one. So we had the second place in the stand-up comedy contest go to Ritabrata Ghosh, and his title is A Sciencey Comedy Episode, which was super hilarious. So let's see a little bit of that.
It looks like we might be having an issue with this video specifically, but maybe we can come back to it at the end.
Okay. So congratulations to Tablata, and with that we get into the first place by Benji Meow. He made a beautiful stand-up comedy with all the members of his pod, so sharing all the real fun things about NMA, and I think maybe we can look into that.
I can't. I think it's very brave to do stand up in front of your pod for the first time. This is very cool.
So we can, if anybody just, if you can just go with you.
Right. Yeah. We are having a stand-up comedy show from one of my podmates, Benji. He was born in China, raised in China, and he watched a lot of stand-up comedy shows in Chinese. But he never imagined that his first comedy show would be here in English. So let's welcome Benji.
Ooh. Hi everyone. I'm Benji, and I'm so thrilled to be here for this stand-up comedy show, although I'm sitting here. So, I so much love stand-up comedy. And in China, stand-up comedy is getting more and more popular. And I watched a lot of comedy show. I watched a lot of open mic. I wrote drafts for it. I even dreamed How I Kill in my debut. But apparently, I never dreamed that my first show will be here in such an academic program and in English. So let's say I learned 4 years computer science in my undergrad, and I learned a lot. I take exams, I program a lot, and suddenly somebody told me that my first project will be in neuroscience. Well, that's also true for me. Okay, that's amazing. That's just amazing. Okay, so it's just it's my first time on the stage, so I'm nervous. I'm really nervous. So please, let me ask you to do something for me. So give me some feedback. So the rule is, if you think I'm funny, you just laugh out loud, okay? And if you think it is not funny, you can applause and shout, "It's funny!" Okay? So that will really raise me up. Thanks.
So that's a small clip of this amazing stand-up comedy. Do check it out on our social media channels. Now, with that, we get to the other contests.
There we go.
So I hope you all had a wonderful time in your pods with all of your friends from all over the world. So another contest we had was to design a logo for your pod, and since most of your pods are food, we can see the food designs and all of that. So second place in the pod logo design goes to Manmohi Dake. I don't know how to pronounce that. Sorry. So second place goes to Manmohi for the title Kachapuri, which you can see here. And the first place goes to Alejandra Lopez Castro, making a frittata for the Neuromatch crowd. And obviously, it's a food item and has won the first place. So congratulations, Alejandra and Manmohi. And finally, we get into the meme making contest. We've had so many Neuromatch memes. We've received around 70 meme submissions, and it was a huge, super tough competition. And you can see there are a lot of memes over here. So, hope you had a wonderful time at the Neuromatch Academy. So, second place for the memes. Basically, it was a tie between three people because they got equal number of votes. So the second place collectively goes to Laura Muhammad Sir, and her title and their title is I Know That I Do Not Know. And then it goes to Manmohi again for her dropout meme, and then Shine, who did a meme on Neuromatch versus Life. Now, first prize for the meme making contest goes to Yuki Lee, and this is like the most voted meme throughout, which got a lot of votes. And it's fish, 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 which you can see here. Like the memes are super funny, which I'm pretty sure you've seen on the Discord channels, and you can also check this out on our social media channels. That's right. So we also have another contest category called illustration and graphic design, where we wanted you to showcase your art talents by sending your designs to us. So for second place for the illustration and graphic design goes to Louise Me, where she's done a beautiful design on the universe in your brain. Indeed, our brain has a huge universe within it, and I don't think we would even comprehend things of our universe if it weren't for our brain. So thank you so much, Lismi, for an amazing design. And we have the first place going to Anna Bushmakina, where she did Moon Observe a Mice Fight. So you can see how two mice are fighting over there. That's an incredibly amazing concept. So thanks so much, Anna, and we are so glad to see your submission.
I liked reading the background on Moon Observes Mice Fight because she had talked about observing rodents in the lab and heard about a study on rodents fighting. And this is a way better way to imagine it, I think.
Exactly. Thank you so much, you all, for your amazing submissions, and congratulations on winning these beautiful prizes. And we are so glad that we've had the opportunity to see your work this time. So with that, we come to the end of NMA's Got Talent. So over to you, Nick and Brad.
Yeah, thank you all so much for these submissions. It's awesome to see how creative the community is, and we're really excited to continue to highlight them and show them off through all the ways that we do. Kirani will be in touch with those of you winners and additional kind of points on the contest. So on top of all of the volunteering and all of the work from TAs and students, we also have sponsors who make all of this possible, who pay for a lot of the back-end systems that run NMA, who help us make sure that our TAs get paid for the work that they do. And on top of that, they're more than just people who give us money to make this happen, right? These are real organizations that are doing really interesting data science on their own. The Kavli Foundation is a huge supporter of neurosciences. You have places like Google AI and Google DeepMind, which are excellent places to work for people who are into deep learning and computational neuroscience. And of course, Facebook Reality Labs, which is doing a bunch of interesting stuff in the space. So don't just think about them as sponsors, think about them as ways that you can connect to them through NeuroMatch. And you'll see and hear from some of these people throughout career events that we hold throughout the year, as well as at places like NeuroMatch Conference. But that is what has happened at NeuroMatch this year. So again, if you haven't done it already, give yourself a round of applause. It's an incredible thing that you've gone through and done. But there's also more in the future. NeuroMatch is always trying to make things the best that they can. But before we jump into this, there are a few questions in the Ask a Question section that I'll try to take a look at now. Oh, we are going to answer all of these in the next section. So they include things, well, first off, how long will the crowdcast session stay on? We probably have about 5 more minutes. How can you volunteer for NMA? It looks like Spiros already answered that one. And how to purchase NMA t-shirts. Kirvani, perhaps you can drop the merch store links to answer this question. And on the question on can you participate in computational neuroscience and DL simultaneously next year, I think it would be too much work. The plan is to generally hold these sessions in parallel like we do now. So let's take a look. Oh.
I think also with regards to the question about crowdcast sessions, I think what they were asking was how long will they be available? And the answer is, as far as we know, they're going to always be available. Like they're not going away. But also you can find them on YouTube as well. So we have a YouTube channel where all of the information is organized. So you can find it there as well. And what's nice about YouTube is that you can, if you need to, you can downscale the video. So like if you're watching on your mobile or you're data limited, YouTube lets you scale it down, whereas Crowdcast does not.
So one of the first and biggest plans that NeuroMatch has for the future is attempting to bring this NeuroMatch style of learning, this type of community building that we have here, to other scientific disciplines. Things like computational biology and computational climate science are some of the first places that we're looking. And we're calling this effort Science Match. Maybe it'll have a different name in the future when it fully comes out. We are already working on these courses. So I'm very excited about the future of showing off this NeuroMatch style to other people. We'll also be looking at more courses and options in the future. So for example, this year, we're looking at a January course for those in the Southern Hemisphere so that we can better include people who have a different kind of like school off for the summer approach than we have here in the Northern Hemisphere. More introductory courses in data science and methods. Mini courses, so little 3-day workshops or longer courses stretched out over a semester are both options that we're considering. And we'd love to hear from you all on ideas here that you feel like are valuable. And of course, like I just mentioned, our science match courses like computational methods and climate science. NeuroMatch, of course, isn't just NeuroMatch Academy. We have something called NeuroMatch Conference, which is an all-online conference accessible around the world. So it's available in all time zones. And it's the largest computational neuroscience conference in the world. So please come join us. It's a really awesome one. We're also doing career and development and hiring events. So these are they're kind of intensive versions of the professional development sessions that you saw during this workshop or during NeuroMatch. And we will be showing up at other conferences. So we are doing, for example, mind matching at Cognitive Comp Neuro this year. And we will also be at SFN for any of you who have the chance to go there. Other things that NeuroMatch is looking to do in the future is make this community building even stronger. So remember your portal profile? Next year, you will be able to use it to be matched to opportunities that fit you and your research interests. So for example, you could mention in your profile that you are looking to go into graduate programs, so that you're looking for postdoc opportunities, or that you would be interested in working in industry. This is all possible through this profile that can use our matching algorithms to match you to great opportunities like these ones. Of course, you can also get involved in these programs too if you find them exciting. There are tons of different ways to volunteer at NeuroMatch. One of the first ones is looking just at ways we can improve. Tell us how we can be better. Give us feedback. I mentioned the survey that's at the bottom of this slide, but you also have all the surveys that you're going to receive on NeuroMatch Academy itself. And then you can come and fix those things. if you'd like. So please fill out the final post-course survey, check your Discord for links. We would love to hear from you. So volunteering at NeuroMatch is more than just being able to contribute to making this happen. It's also being able to connect to so many other people around the world who are interested in this same thing. The focus is on professional and skills development. Volunteers get to do a whole range of activities, and we want to focus on learning and empowering people to try new things they haven't done before. So because of that, there's something for everyone. You can work in our comms and outreach department, our arts, illustration, and design. There's project management, course and curriculum that you saw earlier, the tech team and their software development and programming, or you can work with our DEI group and do outreach, ethics, advice, and work on inclusivity and accessibility in NeuroMatch. We're always looking for ways to experiment, and so we always want new ideas. So this is just to highlight a few of the positions, volunteering positions we're kind of really looking for. We're looking for a group called the alumni team to help follow up with NeuroMatchers and see all the cool things that you go on to do. We're looking for NeuroMatch ambassadors, people who can reach out and talk to universities about offering credit for this NeuroMatch course. And looking for people and organizations that just want to work together. If you work in or are part of another group, maybe we can find ways to collaborate. Maybe we can highlight you in panels. We would love to hear about all the different communities that you're building as well. And of course, in getting involved in an organization like NeuroMatch, there's really interesting data science and computational work that underlies all of what we do. And we're especially looking for people who can help improve our matchmaking algorithms. Like I mentioned, we're bringing these to other conferences. We use them in our NeuroMatch conference, and they're a key part of how we make NeuroMatch run. And so we're always looking to make them better. And finally, of course, you can be part of any of the other departments that you saw that are going to help make NMA 2023 possible. And even if it's just providing ideas, we would love to hear on what you would like to add or what can be better. So if you want to get involved, you can find this on our website. It's academy.neuromatch.io/volunteer. It's a simple process, and people jump into it quickly. Finally, one last thing before we part here. We just want to say we love all of you. We love neuroscience, our volunteers, our TAs, our participants that all make this happen. We'd love for you to keep engaging with us. Join us next year for another course in NeuroMatch. Join us at NeuroMatch Conference, or just stay connected to this community. Thank you all, and thank you to all of the volunteers that help make this happen.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, and we hope to see more of you next year.
It's so wonderful to be part of this again. This is great.